What's up YouTube, this is GalacticGod, and I'm coming at you today with my Heraldic Beast deck profile. This of course is the deck that I used in my most recent duel video series, so if you haven't already checked out those duel videos, please go do so. Once you've gone ahead and watched those and seen kind of how the deck works in action, come on back, take a look at this deck profile, and you can see what's in it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Alright, so as usual, I'm going to start with the monsters. We are, of course, playing 3 copies of the Heraldic Beast Leo. This is really our heart and soul of the deck. Getting him into the graveyard is probably the most important part of the whole deck. Once you get him into the graveyard, you can start plussing like mad, because you're going to start getting his effect off over and over and over again. Alright, so from there, we're playing 3 copies of the Heraldic Beast Aberconway and Fitch. A little joke there, I guess. I used to play just 2 copies of this guy in my deck. I didn't like him at 3, but the more and more I played the deck, I really do like having him at 3, especially with Lightning Chidori in the deck. It just opens up a lot more combos and plays, and he's, 1800 deck is a pretty good, decent size, and when you combine that with like Forbidden Lance and whatnot, it becomes really good. Alright, so from there we're playing 2 copies of the Twin-Headed Eagle. I know a lot of people only like playing this card at 1, but a lot of times I've found that I'll use his effect once and I'll be wishing that I had another one in the graveyard. And really, the only time I normally summon him anyways is when I'm going to go for an immediate Exceed play. And so it's not like really he's too much of a problem being in my hand. Alright, so from there we're playing 1 copy of the Basilisk. I used to play 3 of these in my deck at one point, and then I cut it down to 2, and now I've decided to cut it down to just 1. The main reason is I think he's kind of just a little too slow for a lot of the decks in this format. When you're playing some of the road decks, having 2 or 3 is not so bad, but then once you start getting into the meta decks and just how fast they move, just having 3 is just really too passive. I mean, he's a decent first turn setup because you could just set him, and then if your opponent smashes into it, he's just going to destroy it or whatever, or you can use him a little bit offensively by crashing it into something, or if they have a Spirit Reaper or something that's stalling you out, you can just hit the Reaper and it'll destroy it, which is pretty awesome. But a lot of the times, if he's in your graveyard, you can always get him back with the Heraldry Reborn card and whatnot, and it's just, I think one of them is just enough. From that same instance, I'm also playing 1 of the Eale. He's got a pretty hefty defense at 1800, but his attack is small. His effect is if you have 2 Heraldic Beast monsters on the field, you can special summon them from your hand. This is really cool because it allows you to make easy rank 4s that require 3 level 4 monsters, like Shockmaster, for example. So it allows you to make good, quick Shockmaster plays. At one point in my build, I actually had 3 of him, and then I quickly cut him down to 2, and I was using it like that for a while, and then quickly cut it down to 1. Just because you don't really want to draw a bunch of these guys. Seeing 1 of them pop up in your hand is not too bad as long as you have some other combo-oriented pieces, but you really don't want to flood your hand with a bunch of this guy. I wouldn't want to cut him out completely of the deck, because I feel like he does open up a lot of the harder to get to rank 4 monsters that require 3 level 4s, and he makes a lot of those plays really possible. So anyways, for the support cards for it, we're playing 2 copies of Dust Knight. I saw this in originally the build that the guy topped with overseas. I forget where exactly, I'm sorry. But Vexy did a video showcasing it, and he mentioned that Arc of Fusion also had done the video, and I went and checked those out, and the gentleman was running Dust Knight. I never thought about running it until I saw those videos. I was like, this is a really good tech card for it, because basically it's a flip effect monster that allows you to send Leo to the graveyard when it's flip summoned, and that's pretty awesome. Actually, it's any Earth monster, but you always want to send Leo because you'll get a plus off of it. From there, I'm of course playing 2 copies of Summoner Monk. There's a lot of spells in this deck, and he allows you to bring out your Leo straight from the deck. Really awesome. Or any level 4 monster if you already used up your Leos. From there, we're playing 2 copies of Goblindbergh. Really good, really cool card. You can get some crazy Shockmaster plays out of this guy as well. I'll kind of go over those in a little bit. And then, of course, 1 copy of Gorz. Alright, and that's going to round up my monster count. Okay, so for spells, we're playing 3 copies of the Heraldry Reborn. Very cool. Doesn't really need to say too much. It is Monster Reborn for Heraldic monsters. Just as simple as that. Some people question playing so many, but I mean, if you could play 4 Monster Reborns in a deck, why not? Why the heck not? Next up is the Heraldry, Advanced Heraldry Arts. This card I think is super underrated. I've seen a lot of people only play like 2 of these in the deck, and I understand that you don't want to draw too many of them early game, but mid to late game, these cards are just really an instant any rank 4 that you need. And it's really awesome. You just start busting out Cowboys or Photon Papilloperatives, Lightning Chidoris, whatever you need to get around the situation. This card is always awesome to draw, as long as you don't get it too many of them first hand. Even drawing 2 of them first hand doesn't bother me too much, because usually I'm able to set up my graveyard pretty fast in the deck. It's just, I think it's just too good not to play at 3. Alright, so from there, we're playing 3 copies of Upstart Goblin. This is to help thin our deck out and kind of speed it up a little bit. Plus, if we don't need to use its effect to draw, we can always discard it for Summoner Monk. The same thing could be said if we've drawn too many of our Heraldry Reborns or our Advanced Heraldry Arts. You know, Summoner Monk makes a lot of cards a little bit more viable. It gives them a second usage if you don't want to use them for their intended purpose. From there, we got our copy of Foolish Burial. This, of course, is for our Leo. And we have 2 copies of Forbidden Lance and then the 1 MST. I've been trying this way out. I kind of like having MSTs though, because a lot of people are still playing macro, and macro can present a little bit of a problem for this deck, and I want to have that out for it. So sometimes I bounce between 2 MSTs and a Forbidden Lance or whatnot. You can of course adjust when you go into game 2 for your side decking. It's just right now I'm testing out like this, and I kind of like it. Then we just got our staples, Monster Reborn, Heavy Storm, Monster Reborn, and Dark Hole. That's going to round up the spells. Alright, so for traps, it's mostly a pretty basic lineup. We got Bottomless Trap Hole, Mirror Force, Torrential Tribute, Fiendish Chain, Compulse, Solemn Warning, and then I have a teched in Xyz Reborn. This is probably the only card that is kind of a little unstandard, but I think the fact that there's so much Xyz spamming in the deck that it kind of warrants, usefulness of Xyz Reborn. Normally this card can be, pretty dead draw in a lot of decks, but I usually go for an Xyz summon almost first turn or every game. And so the fact that I can get one out right away in the first turn, whether it be Cowboy or whoever, and then it immediately makes my Xyz Reborn live, because once they get rid of that monster, I can get it back. Xyz Reborn is not really a card that I think can be tossed into like every deck, but in decks that do a lot of Xyz spamming, I think it's really useful, and definitely a card worth at least testing out and seeing how it would work in your deck. Alright, so for the extra deck, we're looking at probably about every useful rank 4 out there, or at least, a good majority of them. So we're playing not 1, but 2 of the Gagaga Cowboys. This is mostly because I like to go into Gagaga Cowboy first turn if I can with Leo and just detach right away and get the plus going. And then I still have another one for late game. Usually a lot of people only play 1 Gagaga Cowboy, and when you bring it out first turn, your opponent is under the impression that now he's safe from Cowboy and he doesn't have to worry about it no more. And he kind of leaves himself a little bit more open than they normally would. And so this will allow you to then be able to go into your second Cowboy late game and kind of finish him off and kind of give him a little bit more of a surprise factor. So for the rest of the rank 4s, we have number 39 Utopia, number 50 Blackship Acorn. Definitely a very cool card. I go into it in like almost every game with Heraldics. Lightning Chidori, another awesome card that I go into quite a bit. Maestro, Kachi Kochi Dragon, really allows you to get in there for some damage. Kind of a card that a lot of people overlook sometimes, I think. Photon Papilloperative, Steelswarm Roach, Gem Knight Pearl. The number 8, Heraldry King, it's okay. I mean, its effect is really good if you're playing against a lot of other decks that were exceeding a lot, and then you can kind of steal their monster's effect and whatnot. It's kind of cool. From there, I've got Evigishki Merrowgeist. This card was really awesome when Sangan was still out there and about. You could, hit their Sangan and just send it back in the deck and be like, oh, no, you don't need to search with that. It still works good, though, with other decks, especially with the Lances in the deck. Helps them get over stuff and just sends it back in. Abyss Dweller, of course. Vylon Disigma. And then, of course, our number 16, Shockmaster, to kind of round up the extra deck. Alright, so a good first turn passive play would be something like either setting your Leo if you draw into that. So you don't want to really summon it because it'll die at the end of the turn. This at least gives you some kind of protection. Plus, if he lives through the turn, you can just flip him up and then he won't be destroyed. You could set a Basilisk. Then whenever they attacked into it, it would just be destroyed as well. But usually what I like to do is set the Dust Knight. If Dust Knight is set and he's not attacked, or even if he is attacked, you know, on their turn, you're going to send a Leo to the graveyard and get a plus off of it. But if he's not attacked, you'll just flip him up, send your Leo from your deck to the graveyard, triggering Leo's effect. At this point, I would probably grab the Twin-Headed Eagle and add that to my hand. I would then summon Twin-Headed Eagle. This will now allow me to go into any rank 4 that I so please. I grab Eagle usually because I want to be able to get him into the graveyard as fast as possible so I can use his effect, and I know I'm just going to use him to go into an Exceed anyway, so there's not really any harm in it. But usually, since we are playing 3 of the Heraldry Reborns and a Monster Reborn, I usually have something to bring back my Leo right away. So at that point, I now have quite a bit of damage on the field. If my opponent had left himself open, I could probably attack right here for a good amount. Looks like about 4,600. What I could do at that point is go ahead and overlay into a Shockmaster if I like. Which is pretty good. I would detach Twin-Headed Eagle first, mostly to get him in the graveyard, either to reuse his effect to back onto Shockmaster or any other rank 4 or any other Exceed for that matter that I so desire. You don't want to use Leo right away because you've already used his effect once this turn. The next turn, if you figure out what you're playing against or whatever, and maybe you're playing against Prophecy, you know, you might want to detach for spells at that point, and then you can get Leo's effect. Remember that if you do call monsters, you won't be getting Leo's effect that turn, but it's a quick, good, easy way to go into Shockmaster. Also, one of the more fun combos to do would be to go ahead and summon out your Goblindbergh, put it into defense to then be able to summon out your Summoner Monk. Use Summoner Monk's effect to ditch a spell card to bring a monster from the deck. I would probably go for Leo at this point. You could then overlay all your monsters right like that, and go for any rank 4s that requires 3 level 4 monsters, either Shockmaster or Vylon Disigma, whatever the case may be, whatever you would need. If they have a big monster, maybe BLS or something over there, you can go into Vylon Disigma, detach your Leo, get Leo's effect, and grab their BLS. Pretty cool. Alright YouTube, and there you have it. This was my Heraldic Beast deck. Remember to let me know what you think of it down in the comment section below. Stuff you like, stuff you didn't like. Any kind of help is always most appreciated. I'm always trying to improve upon my deck, so any kind of constructive criticism that is helpful to me doing such is always most welcome. And I guess that's going to do it for now. This is GalacticGod, out.